Dave, huge show today. It's the definition of bigly. Some people say we got perhaps the most talented human being in the history of the world on the show. He's going to make our podcast great again, and we're going to do it right after this.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Man Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
Now, before we get him on, I've got a little clip of him that I'd like to play, and here it is.
So today is what we call a beautiful day, because it just so happens that today is the day that a very strong president, me, was born many years ago. Not too many years ago, and people are shocked when I say, no, I'm actually older than 39, and they say, no, sir, no way, and I say, I'm 69, and we all laugh because it's such a, Elon Musk, he loves that joke, we love that joke. We don't do cancel culture, we do great humor.
There we go. I think you know who this is. J.L. Cauvin. You are the best Donald Trump impersonator I have ever heard, and there are a million of them out there, but you're the best.
Yes.
Yes. And everybody knows who you are if they're on social media, on Twitter. You're the guy. If I say, the guy who does Trump, everyone knows. Guy.
Right.
It's you.
Yeah.
That's how good you are.
I wish that were completely true. There are some other people, and there are some people with, frankly, bigger platforms than me who've I think, superseded me in notoriety. But when it comes down to quality, it comes down to the authenticity and the improving and all that, I am second to none, except financially, where I'm like not even top 10.
Well, that'll come. That'll come.
Just wait for your Doge check, and everything is going to be fine, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, well, man. Well, I will really stick it to them. Wait, he used his Doge check for more Trump props we've been had.
Yeah.
So, pretty much every American has heard your stuff. Set the stage on how you went from a well-respected but relatively unknown comic to the coolest person on earth.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful thing you're saying. I'd like to amend that to disrespected, barely known human being to disrespected, well-known Trump impersonator and comedian. It basically, I've been doing impressions since, like grade school. And I never, never thought about comedy at all as anything other than something I watced.
Who were some of the grade school guys? Like, were Jimmy Cagney, John Wayne, that sort of thing?
Nixon? Clark Gable, Moses. I don't know how old you think I am, but the first... the first one was Jean-Claude Van Damme. That is the first impression I ever did.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Because, he was such a, he's like the Pepe Le Pew of action stars. So it was this exaggerated, like, hello, you want to see me do the splits? I crack the walnuts with my butt cheeks. And it was that kind of a thing that as a kid, I made all my friends laugh with it. But I'm sure just imagine a prepubescent boy doing a dead-on Van Damme. I'm sure it didn't sound dead-on. Hey, come here, I do the splits. Pick it.
When did your voice change, JL? Let's talk about that. How was puberty for you?
Well, that's the funny thing. It happened 7 years ago in my late 30s, and that's when I started doing Trump. It was a real, delayed gratification. But yeah, so basically just doing impressions for friends, whether it was coaches, teachers, celebrities. And it wasn't until I was in law school that I even thought about doing any kind of stand-up. So that's just a quick story of how I got into comedy. But then Trump, like a lot of impressions, was just me effing around. I had been a guest on the Adam Carolla show a bunch, and I don't know why. I think Carolla had brought up Trump at some point, and then I just started tinkering around with the Trump. This was 2014, before he even ran.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of odd that I was just like, well, this won't be of any use.
Right.
And then the world went crazy, and it became very useful. But it wasn't until the pandemic, and then I say this joke on one of my recent specials. I think it was Half Blackface, which is on Amazon Prime. Whoa, seamless plug. And I said, it only took, the end of civilization for people to go, you know what? Maybe we should check out this guy's comedy. What's he been doing all these years? And the algorithm, that's the frustrating and great thing at the same time of doing comedy in this era. It's like you could be toiling away with great work and working hard and doing quote unquote all the right things for years. And then one day a pandemic hits and Twitter's algorithm says, blah, 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 and then next thing you know, everybody's watching your stuff.
Yeah, it's great. And over the last couple of days, I know I mentioned this before we went on the air. I've been watching your videos nonstop, right? And it's so dead on. What was the process like? And and maybe you don't even know what the process was in isolating his vocal tics and those speech patterns and the cadences. I mean, it is so dead on. There had to have been a pretty vibrant process, right? Or are you just
sure? I give you this. The real thing is they call me the Daniel Day-Lewis of impersonations because I'm real method. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I did when I wanted to get a Trump impersonation was, are there any women I can grope?
I was going to say, cheating on your wife. Okay. And then the next one. Okay.
I go full, and then it's the perfect excuse. It's like, no, I'm not paying the money I owe you. I'm method acting as Trump. There's a big difference. Basically when it started, he was very fast paced and I just kind of picked it up. If you watched a video of me from 2014, you'd be like, that's terrible. It wasn't as terrible then because he was very quick. Remember how he talked about John McCain? John McCain. No, he got captured. That's why you hear it. He was very New York quick. Right, yeah. And as time slowed him down, and as he realized his followers were dumb, he simultaneously slowed his speech to fourth grade level. Yeah. Uh-huh. So it was like, look at this guy. Look at this, a big, strong guy. He sounds like the world's worst first grade teacher. Yeah. He's a big. Look at the muscle. You see the muscles on that guy? He's a big. Look at his tall. He's so big and strong. That's a tough guy. And can you finish a sentence, Mr. Trump? I'm in first grade. I'm not in the womb. I can understand full sentences, but the sort of silver lining of not breaking through to the level I had hoped. I've made a lot of fans. I've had a lot of success on social media. Got a little bit of coverage here and there. But the blessing, if you want to call it that, of not breaking through to becoming as big as if it's Shane Gillis or James Austin Johnson, is that I have the sort of freedom to keep freedom is one way of saying it, or the lack of employment is the other way of saying it.
You're a half full guy. I like your half full approach here.
is to keep fine tuning and finding your, it's like a survival mechanism. It's like, well, I don't have the built-in infrastructure or the worldwide fame, so I just keep having to find ticks and stay ahead of the game. So that's where recently it's gotten more worn down. I had a little gravel to the voice. It's like I have to clear my throat. And then you got to do the sniffing. A lot of people are missing the sort of sniffing. Sniffing is, it's important because it's sort of a thinking mechanism. It's sort of a built-in pause where I'm just sort of, you're talking and you're also doing strong thinking. And you got to do both of those, as you know. You have to do both.
You've said that Trump is basically an insult comic at heart. And do you think that that's a big part of why people are drawn to him? Does that make it easier to parody him or harder? Or, being a comic yourself, is it in your wheelhouse more?
He is, I think so. But he's also, people will always say, "Oh, it must be a challenge to parody somebody who's already kind of a parody." And I go, "Well, he's almost like my South Park cartoon character, where I can say some somewhat offensive things. I can go further than I would as myself, using him as so when I'm on my podcast, making podcast great again, new every week. Hey, look at that. It's sort of I'll talk about, wanting to hook up with Lauren Boebert. Now, I'm not going to say that's what I think, but I'm not going to say it's not what I think sometimes. But as Trump, it's totally in character, and you can go to these places he even won't go that are still, within the realm of plausible parody. Mm-hmm. But it's. I think he is. If we're being honest, he is. If he were in a comedy club, this is not Don Rickles. This is not even Matt Rife we're talking about.
Right.
But
Good
in the
point.
world of politics, the shock of what he did for so long was, I'll admit, funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed watching it when I thought he had no chance to win, because it was fun seeing this verbal bull in a china shop say things that you were like, what am I watching? Like, this is crazy. But it's not like independent of that. He's the funniest guy on the planet. It's 90% of his humor is just like, I can't believe he just said that. He's a president and he's out of control.
It's like my mother says that her priest is hilarious, but it's because he's a priest and he joke. It's funny, right? Because normally he's not telling right?
I have, if I can tell you one phrase that like my 8 friends know, but I'm going to claim it as like my wisdom.
Okay,
is when I go to a Broadway show, the laughter, and there are some funny Broadway shows. Book of Mormon recently, Death Becomes Her, actually hilarious.
The producer,
but sure. But a lot of them are like, I paid $200 for this ticket. I'm going to laugh. Because if I don't laugh, I'm the idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
And then people come to a comedy club and they're like, this ticket was free. You better make me laugh or I will scowl and complain.
Come on, monkey. You're not being funny.
Exactly. Whereas that's why I charge $300 for every ticket.
That's a good plan.
Because it's sure. 3 people buy tickets. That's not great.
That's $900 though. That's
exactly.
better than
they feel like
$900.
if they don't laugh, they're like, I guess we suck because this guy is $300 a ticket.
You had mentioned other impressions. You mentioned, I think you mentioned James Austin Johnson, and of course there's Alec Baldwin. I mean, there's even AI generated versions now, right? Do you?
Yeah, which is, people are a little, I mean, some of that stuff is funny, but I think we're in real danger. Can I pontificate on AI for a second?
Absolutely.
I had this thought watching Tate McRae on Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago. And I said, well, this is a nice looking woman who can dance and cannot sing at all.
Right.
And I had this theory without knowing her background. I said, I think she's your guest next week, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure
she's on right now.
She's my
perfect.
daughter.
Oh, my God, Tate. Just kidding, buddy. She lip-synced both her SNL performances.
Very obviously.
Like not even, I mean, it's not even close.
Right.
And I said to my girlfriend, I said, I have this feeling that Tate McRae, nice body, flexible, dance moves, is a dancer. And her manager said, background dancing in videos, just not a real limited income source for the most part.
Right.
You know what pays a lot more? Pop stardom. Yeah. How'd you like to not sing and make way more money?
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, I was like, if I'm a singer, that's the erosion that AI is going to piggyback on, is this idea of like, and we've done this for years, but this is sort of the weakness in the system that we've had where it's like, do people really care about art and the dignity of art and the authenticity of art? Or are we now in this place where we just want to be distracted and we don't really care who makes it, how they make it? And so when I look at AI comedy is way down the list in terms of society's priorities, even from music and movies.
Right.
And with comedy, I think that is going to be a very easy, fast, accepted, slippery slope into, J.O., you're like, in a year, people will be going, you're almost as good as AI. Yeah. Oh, well, going back to my AI show.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong about that. Because
I hope so too, but I don't think I am. I don't think I am. I think we are very much a society that just accepts distraction now and will just sort of say, that's cool that he does that, but AI is doing it slightly better. And it's like, it's the one thing we would never probably want to watch AI or robot athletes compete, because there's something about a fellow human pushing our humanity to a limit of humanity that we relate to and appreciate. And I think it's the same with comedy. A lot of people will say, oh, I could never do that, or oh, you're so good at that, or oh, I like, you're so funny, or how you thought of that. But if I feel like we will move on from that, and maybe comedy will be the canary in the coal mine, where it's like, oh, they came for comedy and I said nothing. All the comedians are dead.
do you pay attention to other humans, let's say impersonators? I mean, you probably see or hear Trump impersonators all the time. Does it influence you in any way, or is it? I mean, it's got to be kind of hard to ignore, right? Or I don't know. Is it?
I don't know. Did Mozart pay attention to what other composers were doing around him?
Okay.
Not really.
Well, you are Trump.
I watch. I think for the like I'm a Mozart in my mind and a Salieri in the bank account. I look at other ones because there is, the humility that I really do have, because comedy will just kick your ass for years and years. So there's an ingrained humility that I can't deny. When I see somebody say, "Oh, this guy's pretty good," and then I actually start to have like a tiny panic attack because I'm open to someone being better than me. That possibility exists. And then I'll watch and go, okay, you're just an idiot. Thank God. But when, like, for instance, James Austin Johnson, I think I like his, and this is going to sound really snotty, but I think when he started, it was a little better. And now, and this is a function, like I said, my impression might not have developed as much if I had gotten opportunities that, like, were so awesome that it was like, yeah, it's good enough, or it's I'm going to fix it here. There haven't been a lot of adjustments to it. And what I think of it is he leans in, like I kind of do they should have, okay, I'm on 60 Minutes. You see this? Excuse me. No, I'm on 60 Minutes. I'm talking in a room, talking down to you. And believe me, you wish you knew what I did, but you don't know a goddamn thing. And he leans more into rally, but he has that kind of growl. Right. He goes, hey, look at this. Yeah. But he's, and somebody could accuse me probably of leaning into the kind of whisper interview Trump too much, but that's the strength. That's my strongest lane. I think I can do it all, but that's my strongest lane. And his strongest lane is kind of the growl, but he changes tone really well too. And even though I wasn't a big fan of his when he's first emerged, like on social media, when I saw him on SNL, I remember saying to my best friend and my girlfriend, who are two separate people, by the way, you got to keep the lady in check. You got to let her know you're not my sole source of friendship. There's one other guy. Yeah. And I said to them, he's pretty good. Like I said, like he was better than I expected. That was pretty good. And I could sense the relief from both of them. Oh, we thought we were going to have to lie to you because you were going to fly into a psychotic rage. Yes, we agree. He is also very good.
That's funny.
But not quite as you, good as you, dear.
Do you know? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, that goes without saying in my house.
Do you have any idea if Trump has seen or heard your impersonation of him?
I would think so sometimes, only because sometimes he'll do things that I said on my podcast, and I'm like, is Boris Epstein listening to my podcast and feeding him notes?
Wow.
But I don't think so. I mean, I have no idea, but I remember they wanted me on Newsmax. I got a call from Newsmax during the pandemic. They're like, would you come on and do Trump? And I was like, no. And it was Sean Spicer's show. And people were like, oh, you should go on Sean Spicer and roast him. And I said, problem is I went to college with Sean Spicer's brother and he's a good dude.
Oh, really?
So I said, yeah. So I was like, I don't like what Sean Spicer stands for, but I'm not roasting the brother of a guy who I know to be like a good, solid dude.
Right.
But I don't know if you saw, just speaking, and I saw the New York Post was reporting on another Trump impersonator, this comedian Jason Scoop, who he was accosted Alec Baldwin in the street last week, and right-wing media was running with it. Because he's kind of like the right-wing Trump impersonator. Like, he's carved out a space where it's like, hey, it's not too mean to
Which
Trump.
Is why I've never heard of him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. And then the New York Post posted an article about various ex-girlfriends of his, including one who got a criminal conviction for domestic violence against him. And I was like, if I'm guessing
perfectly.
That Alec Baldwin probably said, okay, I'm not going to beat you up in the street. I'll have somebody do some some research on you. So once again, it's a possibility. But once again, the bottom line for me is, all right, cross another one off the board. JL's endless climb to the top of Trump Mountain just got a little boost from the Sherpa known as the Manhattan DA's office.
Karma. You mentioned in one of your interviews that people that are MAGA people have come up and actually they're praising you for this, right? I mean, it's not entirely just liberals.
You're not pissing them off somehow.
Yeah. I mean, talk to us about that dynamic with Trump's real followers.
Sure. I think when they see my commentary as myself, they realize that I am not an ally.
Yeah, right.
But for me to do the impression, if I can't make you see the absurdity in Trump or the cruelty in Trump, if you just see what I do and think it is hilarious, but if you take that as just comedy, I can't go to your house and go, no, I'm mocking what you like.
Right.
People can take it how they want, but I think to maintain the parody level that I do, I go just one step above what he is. Mm-hmm. And the voice, everything like that is on point. And I'm not somebody who's going to be going so far because I take pride in the sort of performance of it. So I'm not just be like, I'm a racist rapist.
Right.
Look at me.
Right.
Because it's like even people who hate Trump are going to be like, okay, fair enough. Not that funny.
Right,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Like good accuracy, but I am a comedian, so the goal is to be funny. So there's only so far I can go. And I can alienate people with my commentary and my thoughts, but the impression is a different animal. If I can just make a parallel comparison to The Boys, the show The Boys on Amazon. I love that show, but their fourth season, they realized that like a lot of MAGA guys liked the show and thought the villain was like the cool guy and the hero. In season 4, they basically went so overboard to alienate those fans that it kind of hurt the show.
Yeah.
Like I get why the creator wanted to do that. I can completely understand the motivation, but it kind of hurt the show. Like if some people don't get the subtlety, don't let them change your art just so you like get your message. Like do the art. And if some people misinterpret it, then so be it. And that's kind of how I do what I do. But I was in Virginia right before the election, and when I tell you I'm performing in front of a MAGA crowd, this was 100% hard MAGA, and almost everybody in the crowd wanted pictures with me after because they were like, "That was incredible. That was so fun," and so I won't do the thing where it's like I'm going to make this so unfunny that now I'm no longer a comedian. I'm doing the David Fincher's dramatic portrayal of Trump every time I go on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
And it's not as much fun either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for you,
100%.
All right, we're gonna play a little. We're gonna play a little game with you. Okay.
Sure.
We're gonna throw out prompts, and you do whatever you do with Trump. Okay. All right. First prompt: Trump trying to get the last Pringle out of the can. Okay.
They got these cans. They have these Pringles. We don't know where they're made. We don't know who the hell made these, but obviously we're looking into it. We got Elon Musk doing Doge on it, so we might have to just cancel. I don't even know they're like a British company because they have these big hands. Okay, This is how you know I have big hands, because me and every girl over the age of 8 can't get their hands inside of the Pringle can. Okay, Bo Burnham did a documentary on this one time on Netflix, and it was this big, strong story. He was talking about Pringle cans, and he couldn't get and you put the hand, and you got the chip. There's that one nasty little chip in the butt. It's almost like it's laughing. It's a nasty chip, okay? It's a nasty piece of chip, and it's sitting down there, and it's saying, "Sir, you can't get me. Your hands are too big for this can." And then you get and then you have to tilt it on your face. And then the chip, if it's a full chip, you're safe. But sometimes the edges of those, they get the sharp edges, like a Latino coming across the border with a knife. It's coming at you with the sharp edge, and those Pringle edges. These things. People have said, "Sir, you got to be kidding. Did you cut yourself shaving, sir?" And I said, "No. A Pringle attacked me out of the can, and it cut my face. And then the Secret Service, they shot the crap out of the Pringle chip. And now you have Pringle dust everywhere. There's Pringle dust everywhere. It's a total mess. Somebody's got to look into Pringles."
Oh, my God.
Oh, that is gold.
That
is gold.
Fantastic.
These were not given to me in advance.
No, not at all.
No, we're definitely not.
All right. How about Trump eating alphabet soup?
we've eliminated. It's called the Department of Education. We call it miseducation. I said that before Lauryn Hill did her album and disappeared for 30 years. But we got rid of the education department because we can teach people better through food. Okay, so when you have a can of soup, a lot of the time it's just liquid. Sometimes they call it broth. Sometimes they call it other things. But broth is almost looks like you're eating pee. It almost like somebody put noodles in pee. And it's disgusting. And then we get a beautiful soup. It's a big, beautiful can of soup. You get the family size. We like that. You ever get the family size where it's like, sometimes you can eat it by yourself. I'm like, am I a family? I'm a family of one? You know how the Marines used to say like an army of one? It's like, am I a family of one? Because I can eat a whole very big family size can of the soup. And it's alphabet soup. Okay. It's the alphabet soup, and you can teach. You can eat and teach, okay? And we combine that into one word called teach. And you can eat and teach, and you're showing people the alphabet, and it's like Wheel of Fortune. And I actually paid a woman one time, this very lovely Russian woman, blonde, here on a prostitute visa. And I had her actually be Vanna White. She walked in, she stood by me naked while I was eating the soup, and I would say, I'd like a vowel, and she would take the vowel out of the soup and put it on her breast, very classy, and then I would eat the vowels off of her breast. And so it was very good. And alphabet soup is a great way to teach. It's not woke, okay? It's not woke. All the alphabets are white pasta, and so there's no DEI in your alphabet soup. In fact, Trump alphabet soup coming out this fall, we've eliminated the letters D, E, and I from the alphabet soup, so it's now 23 letters only.
Dude.
Gold.
That's
gold. Great. All right. So how about one about what losers Rick and Dave are from the Minutia Men podcast?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I try to be nice. Okay. You have these people, and they say nasty things about me. They watch these awful comedians doing truly awful, I guess we can call them impressions. I would call them stupidity. But there's Rick and Dave, and I thought, for a second I thought it was Rick and Morty, because this is a very popular show. My wife, Mylanta, her son, Brendan, is the tall guy, Brendan. He's a big fan of Rick and Morty. He's always saying, Papa, did you see Rick and Morty? Because he's got, I never see him, so he's got an accent like the mom. And kid's been here his whole life, but he sounds like he's from, some shack in Transylvania, because he's always hanging out with the mom. I don't talk to him. And he says, "Oh, Papa." And I said, "Don't ever call me Papa. Okay, we never took a paternity test. Okay, so don't do that." But he likes Rick and Morty. So I said, "Okay, Rick and Morty." But then people tell me Rick and Dave are doing horrible things and saying horrible things about me. And I say, what's sad about this, and this is why we don't like the radical left, there were these people called the Minutemen. You ever remember the Minutemen? These were patriots. When America wasn't woke. They fought for our freedoms. And all of a sudden you have these woke radical left people doing puns. Remember Big Pun? A fat rapper. I liked him. I don't like other puns, but I always liked Big Pun. Well, these guys do a small pun on their show, and they call it Minutia Men. And so you click on it, and you're like, oh, this must be because you don't read it carefully. And you think, oh, I guess it's a patriotic podcast. And then you listen to it, and it's probably, I would say, the most opposite to patriotic podcast. I would call it not patriotic.
You got that right. All right, Mr. President, plug away. Tell us how people can keep up with your stuff.
Wait, before you do.
Yeah.
Removing the DEI from alphabet soup, the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Friggin' fantastic.
You should incorporate that.
Yeah, right. We just gave you some.
I think I will.
Yeah, that's pretty damn funny.
When you do that video, we need some credit.
All right, you mentioned a podcast.
I think I'll at the show in the description. But it's a good idea, because that's an easy video to do. I can just go buy a can of alphabet soup.
Exactly.
And, Trump alphabet soup. 23 letters. Yeah. There's no D, E, or I.
Well, you're welcome, sir.
It's free. That's a free one. So tell everybody where they can follow you. I know you said a podcast. You've got some specials. Where's the best place to find you?
Sure. Thank you. My website is jlcomedy.com. From there, links to my specials, links to my albums, links to all my social media. But I'm JL Cauvin, JLCAUVIN, all over social media. I have two podcasts. One is coming back in April. That's called Rain on Your Parade. But you can listen and watch all the back episodes. That I'm very proud of. That's me on sort of politics and culture. It was a really good show, and it'll be coming back in April. But currently, like, Making Podcasts Great Again is my weekly show as Trump. So that's still going strong wherever you listen to podcasts. But I mean, sometimes I feel like I put too much out there, but I have a lot of different skills in comedy. So if you like stand-up, I got endless amounts of stand-up. If you like impressions, I got endless amounts of that. Political commentary, sketches. It's all, my YouTube, social media, my website, etc. Just, give yourself a couple hours and just immerse yourself in the world that is JL.
Well, I did it for 48 hours over the weekend.
Dave has been doing that.
Just fantastic. No, this has been...
Thanks so much.
This has been just absolutely great.
Yes. And keep it up. You're doing God's work. Yeah. So thanks.
I appreciate it. Great meeting you guys. And thanks for asking me to come on the show.
I just have one last request. We have...
Sure.
Most of our listeners are not of the MAGA ilk, but we have certain ones, and we've got two fans that are really wonderful people, and they're not MAGA, I don't think, but they voted for Trump. Can you their names are Liz and Andy, okay, and they're from Kansas City. They are going to Europe in 3-4 weeks. Can you just give a few minutes, just a little bit about their trip to Europe and wishing them well?
Sure. Okay, well, this is, the people I always like the best people. These are the people who, for whatever reason, for work, for family, they have to live in radical left hellholes. And the Minutia Man podcast might be one of the most radical left, despicable places on earth. It makes the swamp look like a spa. And when you have Liz and Andy, we call them Landy. Okay, we call them Land O'Lakes. Okay, because they're butter. They're very salty and tasty like butter. We understand they've been doing strong work by staying in this space so that we know what the hell is going on with these people. They're doing very strong work, and now they're actually showing their loyalty to Trump even more because, I don't know if you know this, Europe sort of hates me right now. They're very woke, they're very lazy, they're not strong, and they thought we were going to be their big, strong bodyguard for the rest of time. Well, times change, and sorry, Germany, sorry, France, sorry, England, you got to do your own stuff. So when you walk around Europe, Liz and Andy, we call them Landy, Lando Calrissian, when you walk around Europe, I want you to hold your head up high, put on your best new MAGA hat and an American flag T-shirt, and when a European person, and it doesn't even have to be a black, it could be a European white also, when they walk in front of you, you say, "Get the hell out of my way, Americans are walking here." And you will see the respect, and it will look like shock and anger, but it will be respect. It will be total respect. So I wish you luck in Europe. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So you're going to be on every Monday with us right now for the.
Oh man,
dude! If you come to Chicago.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I was in Chicago in the fall, so I will be, I hope to, at Comedyplex. It's a newer club, but it's a really nice place. So I hope to be back there, in the fall again. So definitely.
Drop us a line if you're coming, and we'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
Heck yes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
JL,
buddy.
thanks
really
very much.
Appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye-bye. There he goes.
Holy. That was...
enjoyable.
That was spectacular.
I think Liz and Andy are going to enjoy that. It doesn't have to be a black.
The DEI alphabet soup is freaking fantastic. All right. Well, we got people to thank.
We do. We need to thank Tony Lasano with Opie Shows, the executive producer of the show. Thanks also to Ed Silla, who distributes the show, the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place, radiomisfits.com.
And our guest booker,
Brandon scored big this time. Yes, thank
this
you,
is
Brandon.
bigly, and we very much appreciate it. So,
And we'll be back again soon with another episode of
Minutia Men Celebrity Interview.
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?